Okay, so for problem number 11, it talks about the water level of the river. But here, let's look at this problem here. We're looking at a lake that is drying out. Okay? And at time 0 is here. The depth of the lake is 50 feet at its deepest. Since it's drying out over the reeds, it's supposed to be a straight line, but it doesn't matter. Okay? And the question is, what does the y-intercept mean? Well, the y-intercept, as I've told you before, is always, especially on a graph like this is the starting point or the initial value. Okay? If you look at y equals mx plus b, the y-intercept is where it starts. That is the value before you take into account any slope that comes into play. This times the x input. It is completely dependent of x input and the slope. It's just where things start. And for real world problems, it's normally the initial value of the starting point, something like that. So in this case, what does the y value or the y-intercept indicate? It indicates the depth of the lake before it started drying out at time 0. So, for question number 12, it basically says which ordered pair best represents the location of the y-intercept. If you get a graph, remember what I've said, the y-intercept is always when x is equal to 0. So it's going to be along this y-axis somewhere. So x is 0, y is some value. And if they've given you a line, and it looks like this, okay, then the y-intercept is there. So the value would be x is 0, y in this case 3. Okay, if they give you a line that kind of looks like this, okay, x is still 0. What's the value of y right there? So the y-intercept is always when x is equal to 0. If you remember, although that's part of this problem, the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So the second number in the ordered pair would be 0. So that's how you basically do number 12. Okay, for number 13, let's give you a hypothetical situation. Suppose a security guard earns $800 a week. Okay, and that's the week is normally 40 hours. And he gets, if you calculate it out, it's $20 an hour. But for overtime, it's $30. Up to 50 hours. So he can work 40 hours and he gets $800. Work up to 50 hours and then it's 10 extra hours. That's overtime. That's paid. What would the graph look like with his total pay, including a maximum of 50 hours? Figure. This is his pay. This is the number of hours. Ask me. And the starting pay is $800. Let's say this is 800 right here. So he starts out and he's getting overtime. He gets $30 an hour, 50 hours, for 10 hours. And this makes it $300 an hour. Yeah. That's really all those two. So this is looking at the time he went to massive. So his starting value is this. Okay. So basically, this is saying starting value. So he's already earned what's the maximum? $30 an hour. Basically, that's how you do it. So number 14 shouldn't really have to show this one. This is fairly straightforward. It basically says which graph shows the line with the next intercept of so A we had a negative or any line that goes through there, whether it looks like that, whether it looks like that, and that, whether it looks like that, they all have an x-intercept of +4. It looks like this. No, it's not it. Like this, that's not it. Like that, that's not it. It has to go through the point that they do. I've got to be on the x-axis. That one should be pretty straight. Okay, for number 15, we're going back to Desmos. It says which graph represents an efficient equation. Well, let's say which graph represents, and I'll give you the different equation. 4x times 2y equals 13. Okay? I know it's like that. And all you have to do is look at the 4 answer choices and see which one matches. That's it. It's that simple. That's how you do number 15. Number 16, you're basically saying, hey, this truck is driving, and we talked about how long the truck is driven and all that. Say you have a utility truck that uses, it's got paints in it, it's painting the stripe on the highway. It has 1,000 gallons, and it uses 10 gallons an hour. Okay, so that, so gallons of paint. And it's got 1,000 gallons. Okay. And like I said, it uses 10 gallons an hour. Okay, so what it's basically saying, you show that as it's driving along, it's using this gas or this paint, what's it saying? It says, what does the x-intercept represent, of the graph represent? First represent is basically say, because the y-intercept represents the starting point up here, the number of gallons of paint, and the x-axis represents time. The x-intercept, which is right there, is, what does that represent? The total time driven. That's all it is. Okay. So, because what is the y value of the x-intercept? The y is 0. So it's basically saying they're out of paint. There's a time truck drives before it runs out. That's all. Okay, for number 17, it says, what is the 0? Or it might give you this function. And say, what is the 0? Remember, the 0 is the x-intercept. And the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. When y is equal to 0. And we know that the function, whether I'm saying s of t or f of x or anything else, is the same with y. And all we're saying now is that the x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So 0 or s of t is equal to 3 plus 0 is equal to 3 4 cents minus 30, and I'm trying to solve for x. If I add 30 to both sides, now I can say I'm going to evaluate the differential. I'm going to say 30. Okay. And how do I solve for x? I multiply both sides by 4. Those 4. 4 times 30 is 120. The x. By both sides by 3. So, 0 is when x is equal to 40, along the x-intercept, y is equal to the same thing. Okay, for 18 and 19, they're both table problems. Give you a table, and basically say, what's the rate of change? Well, what's the slope? I'm going to show you a trick here on the desk. Just kick ass. Okay, so go to this plus sign here. Click on table. Now, I'm not going to give the real values. You can do that. I'm just going to give you a bit. And you only need 2 points. You don't need to put the whole table in it. So you just need x and y and another x. So I'm going to give you the 10 for x. Now, here's the key. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, because the m is going to slope. Type y and then the number 1. Also, don't put an equal sign, it won't give it. Put the little tilde sign, which is on my keyboard, is to the left of the shift. And it's the button to the left of the number 1 up top. Shift. It gives you this thing that is like that. By m, and then x1, and then plus b. Plus b. And now, that's what it's giving you. It's giving you what m is. The slope is negative 2.5. And it's telling you what the y-intercept is. Minus 5. And if you look at the graph, you can see it's minus 5. And the slope is negative. Okay? And then watch this. If you go one step further and say, hey, negative 2.5, what about one then? Fraction. 2.5. And then click on this little fraction. It tells you it's negative 5 over 2. That's the case your answer half. Answer 12 half. Okay. That'll work for any type of degree table. You're asking for slope or the y-intercept. Do this, and it will will give you missing information. It's that easy. So this works for 18 and 19, and probably more. And number 20 is basically saying, and the relationship between the area that contains it and the number of gallons used. Well, really, just asking them. So, area, gallon. Okay. Start basically about 0 gallons out of 0 area. All you have to do is pick 2 points. You start at 0, 0 for one. It's direct variation, but it's not that hard. Okay? And then pick a point anywhere. It could be down here. That value y over that value x. Remember, y is overrun. Okay? Pick this. This is the y. This is the y. And you divide them. That's your slope. It's how many feet, how much area you can do per gallon of paint. Okay. I'll give you a hint. It's not going to be a fraction. There you go for number 20. And that's it for this set, from 11 through 20, and I will stop it here. So this video isn't too long, but I'll do it.